Most fans can list Batman and Superman's biggest villains from the cartoons, but far fewer remember the one-episode oddities that slipped through the cracks. This video dives into obscure faces from Gotham, Metropolis, and Dakota that showed up once and then quietly disappeared from DC's animated universe. Some are darker and more creative than the famous rogues everyone knows. If you're into comics and nerd content like this, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Roxy Rocket started out in the Batman Adventures Annual #1 as Hollywood stuntwoman Roxanne Sutton, whose addiction to danger got her fired when no company would insure her stunts anymore. Out of work but still chasing adrenaline, she turned her movie skills into high-speed heists for the Penguin, riding a custom rocket through Gotham's smoggy night skies and shamelessly flirting with Batman like every wild chase was her last stunt. Created by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, Roxy was voiced by Charity James in the new Batman Adventures episode The Ultimate Thrill, and later even popped up in Superman, the animated series, and Justice League Action. Fans spotted her again in games like Batman, Chaos in Gotham, and Scribblenauts Unmasked, before she finally rocketed into main DC continuity in Detective Comics, Number 822, and later stories like Batgirl and Batman, Black and White. Lockup was once Arkham Asylum's new chief of security, recommended by Bruce Wayne after years running security for Wayne Enterprises. At first, his harsh discipline cut escape attempts, but inmates were so terrified that even Scarecrow escaped just to get away from him. When a review board fires Lyle Bolton for cruelty and abuse, he explodes in rage, blaming doctors, politicians, and the media for protecting Gotham's worst criminals. After that hearing, Bolton disappears for 6 months and resurfaces as Lockup, a vigilante who turns an old prison ship into his personal jail, with electrified doors and chained cells. He kidnaps people he blames for Gotham's chaos, from Commissioner Gordon to Mayor Hill, until Batman shuts him down. The character later jumps into the comics, hunting villains like Caraxes and acting as a dark mirror for how far Batman's crusade could go. Calendar Girl is the new identity Paige Monroe takes after her life as a model, and actress collapses the moment she turns 30, and her agent drops her for being too old. Inspired by Calendar Man, she is chewed up by an industry obsessed with youth, vanishes from the spotlight for years, develops body dysmorphia, and hides behind a porcelain mask, convinced she is hideous, even though Batman later sees she is still conventionally beautiful. When she resurfaces in Mean Seasons, Calendar Girl plans crimes around the 4 seasons, changing costumes, weapons, and even stage sets as she targets former employers and media figures who cashed in on her looks. She wields a scythe like a twisted runway prop and is voiced by Sella Ward, who in real life spoke out against ageism in Hollywood. Despite the episode's sharp commentary, Calendar Girl never appears again in any other DC media. Farmer Brown, real name Enoch Brown, debuts in the new Batman Adventures episode Critters, as a southern farmer who is also a brilliant but unhinged geneticist. After Gotham bans his oversized livestock, he vows revenge and retreats to his rural compound with his daughter Emmylou, breeding monstrous cows, chickens, and giant mantises, planning to unleash a stampede of bioengineered farm animals on the city that mocked him. Critters leans into horror and dark comedy, with moments like a goat genetically engineered to deliver spoken threats to Gotham, before Brown sends in the real attack and his army of mutant beasts. Written by Joe R. Lansdale and Steve Gerber, and voiced by Peter Breck, the episode became infamous as one of the strangest in the animated run, yet Brown later gets nods in tie-in comics, proving even this joke villain left a mark. Kyodai Ken is the vengeful ninja from Bruce Wayne's training days in Japan, introduced in Night of the Ninja, and returning in Day of the Samurai as a dark mirror of Batman's discipline and focus. Once Sensei Yoru's star pupil, he lost a crucial match to Bruce, grew obsessed with proving his superiority at any cost, and years later kidnaps Yoru's daughter Kairi to blackmail him for the secret death touch technique, Kiba no Hoko. Their rematch plays out through shadowy temples, rooftop chases, and finally on the rim of an erupting volcano, where Batman refuses to use the lethal strike even with his life on the line, holding to his code. Kyodai falls when the ground splits beneath him, disappearing into ash and lava, one of the rare cartoon rogues with an almost certain on-screen death, his eerie voice by Robert Ito echoing as a final reminder of Bruce's past. Volcana, real name Claire Selton, first appears in The Superman, the animated series episode where there's smoke as a teenage runaway turned pyrokinetic thief with a massive chip on her shoulder. As a girl, she discovered she could ignite flames with her mind, and her worried parents sent her to Metropolis's Center for Paranormal Studies, only for shady government agents from Project Firestorm to kidnap her and train her as a living weapon. Claire eventually escapes and turns to robbery to survive, using blasts of fire and improvised jets of flame to fly across Metropolis's skyline, clashing with Superman while refusing to trust any authority again. He later hides her on a deserted island instead of prison, yet Volcana resurfaces in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, tied to Project Cadmus and Gorilla Grodd's secret society, before briefly fighting alongside the League against Darkseid. Luminous starts out as Edward Leitner, a gifted LexCorp engineer who specializes in light-based technology, and quietly falls in love with investigative reporter Lois Lane. When she digs into Lex Luthor's corruption, Eddie blows the whistle hoping she will finally notice him, but while Lois wins awards for the expose, he is immediately fired and disgraced, left stewing in resentment toward both LexCorp and the woman he tried to impress. After an obsessive murder attempt on Lois and Target, he rebrands himself as Luminous in solar power, hijacking LexCorp satellites to filter Earth's sunlight into a red spectrum that nearly strips Superman of his powers. Armed with holograms, laser traps, and hard light constructs, he forces the Man of Steel into desperate close combat and becomes a cult favorite DCAU villain, even if he never quite joined Superman's top-tier rogues. Nails is Allie Langford, a Dakota Union high school student who had a delayed reaction to the Big Bang and woke up with skin of living steel. Terrified that her parents and classmates would see her as a freak, she ran away from home, took the new name Nails, and searched online for a cure, only to be lured by Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy to Gotham with the promise of a fake Bang Baby clinic that would fix her condition and make her normal again. In the episode Hard as Nails, Static chases her to Gotham and teams up with Batman when he discovers Harley and Ivy are exploiting Nails as muscle for their robberies, promising a cure they never intend to deliver. With metal claws she can launch as projectiles, strength to bend lampposts, and a body tough enough to tank explosions. She could have stayed a villain, but in the end, she chooses to go home and try rebuilding her life. Nemesis is Tom Tresser, a master of disguise and government operative who first appeared in The Brave and the Bold, but later slipped quietly into Justice League Unlimited as a human-level hero among gods. In the DC animated universe, he joins the League after the Thanagarian invasion and shows up in episodes like Initiation and Darkheart, usually in a black turtleneck and shoulder harness, acting as a calm, watchful field agent. In the comics, Nemesis was created by Carrie Burkett and Dan Spiegel as a non-costumed ally to Batman, whose brother's death and a disgraced family name drove him into Black Ops work with the Suicide Squad and Amanda Waller. That resume lines up with fan theories that the JLU version is Waller's plant inside the League, a reading boosted when he got his own Justice League Unlimited action figure rather than staying a nameless background extra. Crimson Fox is the shared codename of identical twins Vivian and Constance Daramus, Parisian perfume magnates who juggle running the Revson company with leaping across rooftops in a hooded suit with metal claws and boosted agility. To keep a normal life, they fake Constance's death so one sister handles business, while the other fights crime, using pheromone powers to disorient foes and a playful charm that colors Justice League Europe missions. Their story in the comics turns grim, with Vivian killed by the French villain Pointeur, and Constance later murdered in a Starman crossover, before a third, unnamed Crimson Fox appears with the Global Guardians claiming the Daramus legacy. Even so, an unidentified Crimson Fox shows up in Justice League Unlimited crowd shots, and her cult status was sealed when Mattel released a Legends of the League action figure based on the animated design. That's it for today's tour through DC's most forgotten animated characters. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, leave a comment telling me which deep cut surprised you most, and subscribe to Nerd Society so you're here for the next one.